With the big game just days away, we thought we'd do a bit of a super preview for you guys out there in Hogstyle Land. There's been a few skin stories out there as well about Jason Hatcher and should Kirk Cousins have made the Pro Bowl. All that and more coming up on the show.
It's the Hogstyle.
Okay, welcome back, guys. Welcome back. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in forever.
I missed you guys.
Yeah, missed you guys too. Yep, yeah, it's been a long while, but it's exciting. We have a good show coming up to talk about a big show that's coming up on this Sunday. And that,
what is that again? What's coming up on Sunday?
I think Coldplay is performing, which I'm just gonna,
Excuse me, I threw up in my mouth.
Yeah, sorry about that. I shouldn't have done that to you. Of course, that's Robbie Deadeye Duncan right there. How's it going there,
What
Robbie?
up? What up, everybody?
And Steve Thomas. Steve, how are you?
I'm good. I'm just getting over my excitement of the Pro Bowl. I've got 9 pages of notes I took from the wonderful play, so get ready. We're going to go do an in-depth analysis of the football game.
What a game that was.
Hey, ask me any question about the Pro Bowl. I guarantee you I won't get it right because I didn't watch a damn second.
I saw about 5 minutes of it. I saw Derek Carr throw a pretty good touchdown pass.
That Derek Carr throw was incredible. Even though it didn't count, but that was incredible.
It was a good pass.
Nothing there counts. Nothing there matters. It's all nonsense.
And then I saw...
Still a very talented thrower.
Maybe the Seattle tight end, I guess, caught a pass and got touched by the defender, and then they blew the whistle without even, bothering to tackle him. Look.
Oh, that's the future, by the way. Give it a couple more years. We'll be
I
there.
think they ought to just
flag football?
not play the game.
Yeah. Sarcastic ball.
I think what they ought to do, seriously, is just do like some skills challenges, like the NBA does. Yeah, they have that NBA All-Star Saturday night. Do something like that that'd actually be interesting and not put people at risk for injury.
Well, those skills challenges were fun to watch, though. That was more entertaining than the game. They were, just doing skill competitions, trash talking each other, just having fun, and that was fun to watch.
Yeah,
Pro Bowl is just a complete pile of shit.
I mean, it's been just going downhill ever since. Whatever they did with the whole getting rid of the AFC versus the NFC thing, to me, makes no sense.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's a disgrace.
Yeah.
It made it even worse.
Granted,
I was at least a little bit interested when it was NFC versus AFC because I could root for someone, but now I utterly don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the fact that you have, who is it? Michael Irving picking one team. Yeah.
I especially don't care about him.
I don't even know. Yeah, exactly.
Did he pick all Cowboys?
He might have.
I don't even know, to be perfectly honest with you. I
surprised.
don't even know. I didn't even pay any attention whatsoever.
Well, the
other
one
than
thing I do know
Carr
is he
thing,
didn't
that
pick a
was about
single
all I
Redskin.
No, he did not.
Yeah.
Of course,
Well,
that's because there weren't any.
None were there. That's why, right? So, let's maybe get into that first, since we already talked about the Pro Bowl. One of the topics that was going around the past few days, and it's probably old hat right now, but Kirk Cousins not making it to the Pro Bowl when it seems like they've gone through about 12 different alternate quarterbacks who, some said no, some are, playing in the Super Bowl, but Kirk doesn't get in over, some guys like Jameis Winston and who else?
Teddy Bridgewater. If Teddy Bridgewater's in the Pro Bowl, then it's a complete pile of shit.
Well, look, I mean, the thing is, it's not a selection based on merit, based on statistics, anything like that is a vote. It's a vote. And Jameis Winston and Teddy Bridgewater were both on higher profile teams. And Kirk Cousins, let's be honest, we all love him here, but he only had 6 or 7 good games, and they all came at the end of the season. Pro Bowl level worthy games were the 6 or 7 at the end of the season, so he wasn't going to get a lot of votes. Does it? Would I generally like more Redskins in the Pro Bowl? Of course, but it just wasn't in the cards, and I don't really care. It doesn't mean anything.
Right.
Who cares? I think people got way too offended for no reason.
People don't care about the Redskins on a national level anyway. I mean, it's not like we'd even get the attention.
No, that's true. But I will just contend one thing you said, Steve, and that is that Jameis Winston was on a higher profile team than Kirk Cousins. how many games did the Tampa Bay Bucks win, and they've never been relevant.
I may have phrased that badly.
That's one of those teams that people talk about moving.
I may have phrased that badly. Jameis Winston was a high profile player because of his draft status.
Okay,
and then he got some attention.
That's fair.
He got some attention all year for outplaying the people's expectations. I'll say it like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's more fair. Well, look, again, a lot of Redskin fans got really super offended by it, and we're all up in, the Team Kirk charter members out there just thought it was, the worst thing ever, and I think they all need to relax and calm down.
Yeah, I mean, again, and I will say this 100 times, it doesn't matter because the Pro Bowl is stupid.
The thing that sucks, though, is it does matter because of legacy. If guys deserve to be in the Pro Bowl, or say, like London Fletcher, he finally got in, basically as an alternate the last couple of years of his career, but those matter when you get, in the future, if you want to be considered a Hall of Famer, they look at how many Pro Bowls.
I mean, we went through the whole Joe Jacoby thing, and by the way, folks, just as an aside, there's one more week to go. Keep contacting those voters. But, I mean, does anybody think Kirk Cousins is a Hall of Fame quarterback? I mean, are we really saying that here?
Oh, no one's saying that
yet.
No.
I'd like him to go. I'd like a bunch of Redskins
to
go. I just think people need to relax about it.
Yeah.
It didn't happen. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Move on. That's my thought.
Mm-hmm. And I also wonder if the Pro Bowl has the same cachet in terms of the Hall of Fame going forward, frankly.
Yeah, until they improve the product of it, then no, I think it doesn't really matter. But you look at the past, every time people are talked about for being in the Hall of Fame, they mention how many Pro Bowls they've been in.
Sure.
It matters but in the fact that you had really good seasons and you continuously had good seasons, and that is like a stamp on that, basically.
Well, it's going to matter in terms of Hall of Fame as long as those same voters are out there. It's the same voters have been there for forever, and it's just one thing to measure, and so it's a thing to measure, so they're going to measure it. So from that respect, it does make sense. I'm just saying, for God's sakes, I mean, Cousins didn't make it. Get over it. It's okay.
Yeah. I think we all kind of agree with that. My only final question about the Pro Bowl is there anything you even think they could do to fix it at this point, make it a better product?
I mean, you got to maybe just have incentives been put in place, to play a little bit harder. I mean, not kill each other, but, bring it back to what it was when Sean Taylor was playing,
Well, and even then it wasn't very good. It was Sean Taylor that was doing well, not everybody else.
Yeah.
That's
he
true.
gave 100%.
He was the only
everyone
one
else
playing
gave
hard.
10%.
Look, I mean, see, it's just the nature of football, really. I mean, you can play a baseball game at full effort and not expose anybody but basically pitchers to maximum risk. And even then, you rotate the pitchers in and out, one inning at a time.
Right.
Generally, it'll be okay. You may have a pulled hammy or whatever here and there, but it's all right. Basketball.
Just have more people put in the Pro Bowl.
But you're never going to have football players go max effort for a game that doesn't matter because there's too much risk of injury.
Right.
Even in basketball, they can play a full game, at max effort and not suffer such an extreme risk of injury. It's never going to improve for football just because you go max effort, you're going to have ACLs torn for no reason.
I mean, do you think if they put a better financial incentive, and I'm just throwing a number out that they would never go with $1 million per player on the winning team, would the players care more?
Well, sure, it would matter, but that's way too. They're never going to do that. It's way too much.
They'd lose money then.
Yeah.
Does the MVP of the Pro Bowl still get like a big a car or something, like some kind of incentive?
Yeah, it's usually like a Chevy product too. Yeah. It's never like he gets a Ferrari.
That's like a sponsor thing. That's not an NFL paid deal.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I don't mean to knock Chevy products. I'm just saying he's not getting a $100,000 car. He's getting a pickup truck.
For a football player, it's a regular car. It's not a Bentley.
Right, exactly.
I just don't. I think they ought to just almost forget the game. It's just an unwatchable thing. It always has been unwatchable. And I don't know. Maybe the younger. I mean, Robbie, I guess you'll have to tell us. The younger generation maybe likes this Team Rice, Team Irvin thing. I just think it's abysmal.
I think they're trying to reach the younger crowd for it, but it's just not working. They released the ratings, I believe, and I think it was like a 5.6. I want to say, or maybe I'm just making that number up.
I'd have to look it up. I have no idea.
That seems like a decent number for a Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
No, it was less than last time from what I heard.
Well,
but
and
anyway,
it's dropped every year.
it gets worse. But yeah, they're trying to, I don't know, make it like a fantasy thing. Reach the younger crowd. All about fantasy. The kids that play Madden, they have the ultimate team type thing. It's basically the same thing. You draft your players, you collect cards of the players, and it's like an all-star team type thing. I understand what they're trying to do, but it's just it doesn't work. It's not a good product.
The Major League Baseball and the NBA do All-Star weekends for the fans. If you ever, I've been in an All-Star city. I don't know if you guys ever lived through an All-Star game, but there's all sorts of fan events.
No.
The NBA has this big. They rent out the convention center and put all these fan, things, and you can come and do that. They have Friday night events. They have Saturday night events. They have
a celebrity
they
basketball
have a celebrity
game too,
basketball,
don't they?
and Major League Baseball does kind of a similar.
My
setup.
former boss played in a couple of those.
Did?
Really?
Yeah. When I worked for the Department of Education, Arnie Duncan
was a college basketball player. He's like a real athlete.
Yeah, he played at Harvard.
Yeah. But my point is, and the MLB does similar stuff. The NFL makes zero effort to do that. It's just not the same at all. And furthermore, the timing of it is really bad. The season's over. There's one more game left. NBA and Major League Baseball do it in the middle of the season when everybody's still into it. It's just, I think that's almost no way to improve it, quite honestly.
Yeah, and I think the point about injuries is really the big point. Unless you're going to make it a game where they can somehow play with, I don't know, styrofoam all around their bodies and not get injured,
they'd be doing that anyway if that was possible.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, have them play that knocker ball thing or whatever.
Knocker ball.
Knocker ball.
They get
knocker ball.
It's I think it's knocker ball, but it's those big giant like inflatable balls that you put yourself in and run around in, and they just.
Do you really think that Trent Williams
other?
could fit in a knocker ball?
Hell yeah, you could.
I know what Rob was talking about.
There was a video of it before the season came out of Cam Newton playing knocker ball with his teammates. And I think some of his offensive linemen were in it too. Trent Williams would be the best one out there, though.
I like
fast,
it.
and he he's powerful. He's got the strength and weight on him. He'd be knocking people all over the place.
Maybe that'd be more interesting.
Okay. Does anyone else have anything fun to add about the Pro Bowl at this point?
I think we've beaten the Pro Bowl to death, and it deserves to be beaten to death.
Yes, it does. Please just stop, NFL. Give up on that. Find something
Make
better.
them play a Madden tournament or something. That's better.
Yeah.
Well, that would be worse. There's no way I would watch some people play a stupid video game.
I would
2
almost
hours.
rather watch the NFL award ceremony where they, award the MVP and all that stuff than watch the Pro Bowl.
I would too.
So let's move on. What do you guys want to talk about first? Do you want to talk about some of the Redskins related topics, or do we want to go right into the Super Bowl?
I think we got not many Redskins topics to talk about, so we can knock those out real quick.
Okay. Well, the other big one that I mentioned beforehand was this news that Jason Hatcher is considering retirement.
Say it ain't so.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. How do you guys view this? Let's just start with you, Robbie. Or Steve, you want to go first?
Go ahead. Steve.
Well, Jason Hatcher, I mean, he never lived up to, his contract. He never lived up to the hype. He seems like a good leader type, but, honestly, he had one good season in Dallas. Oddly enough, and miraculously enough, it was his contract year, when he had all that statistical production. The simple fact of the matter is his knee is chronic. It's never going to get better. It's significantly hampered his performance, particularly as the season goes on. It wouldn't break my heart if he stayed another year, and it wouldn't break my heart if he was gone.
Robbie?
Yeah, I mean, I liked Jason Hatcher. I mean, at first I was like, we get a Cowboy on our team now. And I thought that he was a one-year wonder at first, but he had his good moments. But the worst thing about it was he, most of the time, was only really good when it was like right at the beginning of the year, when it was fresh. And as the season goes on, he kind of just disappears and fades into the mist behind everybody else. And, it's just time to get some fresh legs. I don't think they should push him to come back. Just,
No.
I think they'll passive aggressively just say, hey, you can go. No worries. You're welcome to come back and hang out, but you can't. We don't need you to play anymore. We can find somebody younger.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you both on that. He was a perfectly good stopgap option for us. For what did he play?
Well, you know
3
what?
years
He wasn't
here?
supposed to be a stopgap. He was making major dollars. He did not have a
he
small
was given
contract. He had a major piece of the line kind of contract.
Yeah, he was given what 4-year, $20 million or something like that. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it was sizable money. I remember. I know you're right about that.
You noticed a big difference when Ricky Gianfrancois was on the field
You did.
compared to Jason Hatcher.
You did, and I mean Hatcher definitely fell off this year more than ever.
I'm telling you, it's his knee. I mean, I think his knee is just chronic, and it's keeping him from
so much tread on the tires.
Yeah. And having a bad knee can just kill you.
Because I mean, following the injury report like I did all season, for our previews and stuff, he was on the injury report every single week. He practiced 0 Wednesdays the entire season. That I remember at least. He's just he's an older player. It happens to all of them. Sad to see. I think we're gonna do draft stuff later, but I think we draft his replacement this year.
Steve, do you know offhand what the rules are when it comes to when a guy retires? What happens with the salary cap?
I don't think it matters for Hatcher because Hatcher at this point, Hatcher's cap hit is bigger than his dead money, so he retires, he goes away, and that's it. Now, if it's a guy like Chris Borland, who retired. With 2 years into his rookie contract, that's different. Because his cap hit is bigger. I think the bottom line is when the player leaves, I think it's treated the same as being cut in terms of salary cap stuff. I'll look into that for next time. But it doesn't matter either way for Hatcher because his dead money is long. His dead money's not a problem anymore.
Okay. Now to me, it's actually it could be a blessing in disguise kind of deal for us. The team needs to get younger on the defensive line, if any other spot on the roster. So losing a guy like Hatcher means you are opening up a potential place for a highly drafted rookie. I mean, so maybe that could be a good thing.
And spoiler alert, this is one of the deepest drafts for defensive tackle I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I've noticed that in every mock draft I've done, and I know, Steve, you hate the mock drafts, but doing them gives you an idea.
I just don't do them, once a day like Alex does. That's all.
I once a week. I'm down to once a week.
Yeah, I do one once a week.
I think it's a little early
but
for
seriously,
it. But it's a really deep draft. There's a whole bunch of you, Robbie. You're going to have to tell us who, but I know there's a whole bunch of defensive linemen that would be great for us.
I can tell you a couple early favorites right now that I've been watching. The top one right now is Andrew Billings from Baylor. Yeah. He's a D tackle, shorter guy. He's a bit of a bowling ball, but he can move and he's disruptive. He'd be a good guy to place at nose guard if we can't get Terrence Knighton re-signed. Really, guys, I wouldn't be ashamed at all or pissed off if we went first and second round D tackle.
Me neither.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what.
And put one of them at nose guard and the other guy at D end to replace Hatcher.
I think we needed our defensive line. Did not do well this year. Statistically, they were awful in several areas. They need drastic improvement.
Right.
And there's one more guy that I'm a big favorite of right now. Sheldon Rankins. He's a D tackle from Louisville. You watch his film, the guy can move. He's got that twitch to him, and he has a lot of good pass rush moves. He's got that Dwight Freeney ice pick spin move that he does on the inside of and it's really good. Guards can't even handle it from what I've seen. He was doing that at the Senior Bowl practices too, and just killing guys.
Was he the one going up against the Michigan center that everyone was retweeting? Is that
probably?
Okay.
I
hey,
didn't
Robbie,
catch
let's
that
just
part,
get this out of the way now. Is Sean Oakman another Mike Mamula? Is he a guy who's going to blow away the combine stats and everything, but can't play?
He's gonna have a great combine. He's gonna look good in shorts. But if you watch his film, he's playing patty cake with the offensive lineman. He has no interest of any kind of physical contact. He's afraid of He's afraid of contact.
Just incredibly physical he looks. It's just sad to see.
teams are going to fall in love with his potential and his his frame, his size. He's got all the tools for it, but the drive and the heart to play is just not there. I don't see it.
Anyway, I didn't mean to put you on the spot with all that, but point is, there's a ton of defensive tackles and out there that we ought to draft a couple of them.
Defensive talent in general.
We could come away with a guy in the third round at defensive tackle and have him starting week 1. That's how deep it looks to me.
And
one guy that we could count on for that to be in the third round, there's a D tackle from Mississippi State that played with Preston Smith, Chris Jones.
Yeah, I've seen that name a few times.
Big dude, and he can move too. He's very powerful. Just keep your eye on him.
There's going to be another spot opening up too, potentially. Kedrick Golston has been with us for 10 years now. I think he's in his 10th year. He's not going to hang on forever. So there's one more spot that
death taxes Golston.
Yeah, we all love Golston. He's the Reed Doherty of this age, I guess. He just never leaves.
I think he and Reed Doherty were drafted in the same year.
Has it been that long?
I think they were.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah.
But the point is, he's been there so long that at some point they're going to replace him. This year may be a good.
I think this is the year.
Good year this year.
But then again, I said that the past 3 years about him. So
Death taxes
he just keeps hanging around.
Death taxes and Kedrick Golston.
Right. Now let's mention one other big name that's. It seems like they've announced unofficially or officially his retirement at this point, and that's Megatron in Detroit. He was making insane amounts of money for a wide receiver. I mean, I think he was easily the highest paid wide receiver out there at this point. And he's only 30 years old, but he's decided to hang it up.
Well, part of it is the Detroit Lions.
You look at him this year.
Go ahead, Robbie.
Sorry. You look at him this year. And even the last year, he's fallen off big time.
Yeah, he's been hurt, right? I mean, he's had lingering issues.
He keeps getting hurt. He's banged up. I think he's just got a lot of tread on the tires, like I said about Hatcher.
Yeah.
He's just a banged up guy, and I think I don't think he can
his
handle
statistical
it
production has fallen off tremendously from what it was, and they still have the same quarterback there all these years in Matthew Stafford, who, although he takes a lot of heat, is a pretty good quarterback. But in terms of Megatron, I think there's also just a Detroit Lions factor. The team isn't any good. It's they have their off years every once in a while where they improve, but the franchise in general has just been lousy. I don't know where he's from.
Are you saying he's Barry Sandersing it?
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
Because I don't think, if I recall, he's from somewhere in the South, isn't he? He went to school in Georgia or somewhere, right? What school did he go to, Robbie? Anybody know? Straight off the top of your head. Megatron,
Who?
where do you go to
Megatron?
college?
Yeah.
That's
He
what
was
I
Georgia
thought.
Tech.
And so he's from the South
Georgia
somewhere,
Tech.
so he probably hates being up in Michigan. In Detroit, I mean, I've been to Detroit. There's fine people in Detroit, but it's not exactly a tourist trap. And then so you're on a bad football team, getting beat up
in a city that is
stinks.
dying.
Yeah, I don't. It's not that surprising to me. And he's not personally, he doesn't strike me as a typical flashy, obnoxious, loudmouth football player. You never hear anything about Calvin Johnson ever. You never see him in a club. You never see him out, fighting with cops. He's not he doesn't do anything like that. He seems like a very down to earth dude who's not caught up in the trappings of football.
He just did his thing.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, when he's done, he's done, and I think he's done. Would it be different if he was the number one wide receiver for the Seattle Seahawks? Maybe so. But that's not going to happen for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I were him,
yeah, kind of a shame though, because he was such a freakish talent with his just combination of size and
if he
athletic
could pull
ability.
it off,
He could
it
have.
would be. If I were him, I would maybe try to shoot to get himself moved to New England.
Oh yeah, of course.
If that was possible.
I mean, isn't that the dream for every great
They
wide
really need
receiver
him though
at
in
this
New
point?
England. They need him, a guy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do. It's funny you mentioned Barry Sanders. Same thing. Barry left. He could have been the best of all time, but he left early.
Mm-hmm.
And then Megatron. I mean, he had all the tools and had all the talent to do, to go as far as he wanted, legacy wise, and he could have gone down as the best receiver ever. But he got hurt, got a little banged up. His production went down, and it makes sense for him to retire. It's just a shame to see, really.
It really
It's
is.
just Detroit is like the city where NFL superstars go to die. If you
Well, it's where they get drafted and die is more than anything.
that in Cleveland.
No one
Dominican
goes
Sue was
there in
able to
free
get out.
agency.
What's that about? Yeah, Dominican Sue. Did you guys see, by the way, that Johnny Manziel is in trouble again? He had another
Yeah, I
incident,
heard that.
Like a
yeah,
domestic
a second
disturbance.
domestic incident. So and I noticed that Hugh Jackson, the Lions, not the Lions, the Browns beat reporters put out there that Hugh Jackson has still not talked to Manziel. He's talked to Manziel's backup, his name I can't even remember because he's so obscure. The guy who played over Manziel. He's talked to him, but not Manziel. So you have to think that old Johnny Football is probably going to be on the market this offseason.
Going to Dallas.
Come on, Jerry.
I still think
Get
Robert
him.
Griffin's going to Dallas.
Make the move.
Jerry'd be a fool to take
I think
Manziel
he's-
over Griffin. Just from a performance and the guy who has a better head on his shoulders, I don't think.
Don't ruin our dreams, Steve. Don't. Ruin
I'd
our
love to see
dreams.
Manziel going there.
Well,
He'd fit in perfectly, with a bunch of thugs. But
Art Briles came out and said that he thinks Robert going to Dallas would be a dream scenario.
Yeah, of course he does. Well, Art Briles will say RG3 should go to Mars if he thinks it'll help Art Briles' career.
yeah, I don't think Art Briles is
Art
speaking
Briles-
from any sort of experience. He's just blabbering
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah, and he wants Griffin to do well because that helps him in the long run. I mean, it's kind of transparent.
You know what? Art Briles has bigger problems, to be perfectly honest, going on there. I mean, there's a, I think it was HBO Real Sports maybe, did a segment on how many sexual assaults have been going on at Baylor, and the school's response to him, which has been pretty sad and pretty pathetic. And Briles was caught up in that controversy as the guy who didn't do enough, for some of those women who brought those allegations out. So I think Art Briles ought to focus on Baylor and stop worrying about Robert Griffin, personally.
Controlling his players.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably a good idea. Probably a good idea. And trouble going on at a college campus with underage, well, not underage, but kids having sex. I'm shocked.
Underage drinking.
Yeah, underage
most
drinking. There
likely,
we go.
too.
And Steve just texted this to me, and I couldn't agree more. Let's move on to the Super Bowl, guys.
Oh, that game that's playing
Where do you wanna
Sunday.
start?
Gosh, I forgot. I'll start. Let's do a little overview here. This is a case
Go for
of strength on strength. This is going to be a good game, folks, because what we have here is the best running team in football, certainly the most creative, and they're second only to the Buffalo Bills in some statistical areas. The Carolina Panthers are a heck of a running team. And specifically, Cam
Right.
Newton is an X factor there, because he's so big and he can run that inside zone and he can do a lot of things. Well, guess what? The Denver Broncos have the number one defense in the NFL. Specifically, their run defense has been incredible all year long. So what we have here is a case of a brick wall running into a car running into a brick wall, and so the trick is going to be
Or immovable object.
there you go. That's a much better analogy.
As they say.
So what I think it comes down to is Robbie's buddies there on the Carolina. The game is going to hinge on whether the Carolina offensive line can handle the Denver Broncos front seven.
Defensive front.
Whoever wins that battle is going to win the game. I don't think this is a case of Cam Newton versus Peyton Manning. I think it's who is going to win that battle up front is going to win the game. Can Michael Orr handle Von Miller? That is going to be more important than the quarterback situation, I think.
And the crazy thing is it's not just DeMarcus Ware and Von Miller that are causing havoc. It's the inside guys. You got what is his name? Wolf. I forgot his first name, but Wolf, the D lineman, their D tackle guy. He's overachieving and playing lights out right now, and so is their other D tackle, who's going to be a free agent this year too. By the way, a lot of people want him, the Redskins, to go after him, but they got a lot of guys right now that are overachieving and just playing really well. And it's going to be a lot to handle for that offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, as good as Carolina's been all year, they have not faced this. They did beat. I think the best sample game we can look at maybe is the Seattle game. Carolina played Seattle early in the season, and they won 27-24. And Seattle is the only team in the NFL whose defense is comparable to Denver in terms of aggressiveness, their ability to put pressure on the quarterback, and handle that run. And so I think that's, they did put 27 points up on them. I'm not ready to give a prediction here. I'm just saying that is the battle. I think Cam's going to do his thing. Cam's going to be Cam. He's going to get his runs. He's going to get his touches. I think this is a case where they really probably will miss Kelvin Benjamin. If they can stretch the field on these guys, that'd be for the best. But they don't have that really this year. So it's going to be a fun game to watch.
Well, here's my question. You're talking about it's going to be the defensive line versus the offensive line on that side of the game. But here's my big thing whenever I think about Cam Newton. As good as Von Miller is he big enough to bring down a Cam Newton on his own?
That's a good question.
I mean, because Miller, when I see him, he's a quick guy, but he doesn't strike me as like an imposing physical. DeMarcus Ware probably a little more so, the physical linebacker. But is like, are any of these guys going to hit Cam Newton, just bounce off him?
I mean, yeah. I mean, Cam is 260 pounds, 6'5".
Right.
He's a huge linebacker playing quarterback that can run the ball like a running back.
Right. He outweighs some of these guys. That's my point.
It's going to be very hard. I mean, yes, you need his offensive line to protect him, but he's kind of like Big Ben in the same stance that he can shake off guys and extend the play.
Except he's a much better athlete than Big Ben. Honestly, I mean, he's faster,
most certainly.
More elusive, better runner.
He's Dante Culpepper's physical abilities with a better arm, is what he looks like to me a lot of times.
Yeah, that's not a bad analogy.
I mean, he might even be bigger than Culpepper, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he is.
He's a much better runner and much more physical than Culpepper.
Sure.
Because here's the interesting. In terms of the other side of the ball, Denver's a Super Bowl team, but their offense really, it leaves something to be desired. In terms of points scored, they're winning. Denver is winning games because of their defense. They're not winning games because they're outscoring anybody. Denver. If you go back to my playoff preview thing we wrote up, Denver was ranked 11th out of all the 12 playoff teams in terms of total points scored. Ninth in completion percentage, 12th in quarterback rating. That was team, not just Peyton by himself. 10th in rushing yards. They're winning, and I think the points that they scored, because they averaged something like 21 points in the playoffs before now. They're not outscoring anybody,
right.
And so they're going to have to hope that the Denver defense can slow down Carolina, because I don't think they're going to put. And Carolina's defense is no slouch. It's an outstanding defense, a top 5 defense. And so they're going to have to hope that Carolina just can't handle that Denver front seven. I think that's their only hope in the game, if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to need Peyton Manning to kind of pull something out of his ass to play and win this game, because I don't see him able to overcome that Panthers defense. I think Luke Kuechly is going to be all over the place and going to be hard to throw over because he can cover any tight end you throw at him pretty much.
Well, particularly if Thomas Davis.
He looks like he could cover a lot of wide receivers.
He's pretty close to the wide receivers, but I mean, he's not step by step with them.
Well, just putting.
Well, I think
there.
particularly if Thomas Davis actually does play for Carolina, because he's sort of the emotional heart and soul of the defense. And so if he comes back from his broken arm and plays, that's just another benefit in their favor.
He's not going to miss this
either. He's going to be out there.
There's no way he's going to miss this game.
He'll be out there one way or another.
He's going to be like Ray Lewis. He's going to be like Ray Lewis did for the Ravens that last Super Bowl. He probably shouldn't have been playing, but he played anyway.
Right.
With his arm.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it is very. It's two teams that are almost the opposites of each other in terms of how they were built. If you think about it, you look at the Panthers, they built mostly through the draft and, good coaching. The Broncos, it's all...
They're a bought team.
Yeah, that's exactly what... It's a bunch of hired guns.
You remember how Von Miller even came to the Broncos in the first place? You remember this? Because, was it the Ravens? He had a contract with... I think it was the Ravens, and they messed up the submission of the contract to the NFL.
No, you're thinking of Elvis.
You're
thinking of Elvis Dumervil.
Okay, my mistake.
Yeah, that was Dumervil.
Yeah.
Never
mind.
But yeah, keep going with that. It was pretty.
Well, what happened
funny.
was Elvis Dumervil had a contract with the Ravens, and the Ravens front office and Dumervil's agent forgot to I mean, there's no other way to say it. They failed to submit it to the NFL properly and on time, and as a result of that,
Right.
the contract did not take effect and it was never approved. And so the Broncos swooped in and signed up Doomerville straight out from under the Ravens, just snatched him up, like shoplifted him.
No, I think it was the
Was it the other
opposite,
way
wasn't
around?
it? It was the Broncos that.
This
I
is
think
just
it
a
was the other way
horrible
around,
story.
'cause
I'm
I
just
think-
messing it
Yeah,
up completely.
No,
It's a great
because I
story,
remember
and you're
now.
messing it
I was
up
just
completely.
remembering. Doomerville's been playing opposite of Terrell Suggs.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
No.
So but I was right with what happened. Is
Yeah.
that the Broncos front office and Doomerville's agent did not get it. They agreed on terms, but they did not get it submitted properly. And then the Ravens just shoplifted him right out from under the Broncos. Like the next day, he had a massive contract.
So
signed.
it just slapdicks.
Yeah. Von Miller was drafted by the Broncos. Just to
I had my everything mixed up. So I can't remember everything.
yeah.
People, I cannot keep every fact straight in my head. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I can keep.
Stay tuned to the Skyhawk.
This is what I was
can
about.
keep most of my Redskins facts
Yeah.
right like that. But
It's hard to keep my Ravens and Broncos facts straight.
I can't imagine these people who do it for all 32 teams. It's unbelievable.
Well, they have a lot of notes,
Yeah.
and we're not going on just a little hint for the audience, little inside, track for the audience here. We don't have a lot of notes in preparation for this episode. We're sort of winging it, So I was not wholly prepared.
In fact, I think for many episodes I come on and say, "So what are we doing?" I don't even know what we're recording half the time. So
I always joke about the notes and stuff. I really do have
Yeah.
pages and pages of written notes for these Redskin games. I have
No,
0 pages in front of me today.
people can usually hear the notes, Steve, when you're shuffling.
Well, and the
through
reason
them.
for that is that I
like a
write
new-
them instead of type them because that's just me. So they're not digitized at all. It's literally notebook paper. They're like pen and notebook paper.
It's your generation. That's generational. That's what it is.
I guess.
Should we go ahead and jump into predictions?
Yeah, I guess so. Unless anyone has anything else to add.
I can't
Well,
think of anything else.
no. I mean, I just think.
I feel like we didn't really talk much about Peyton Manning, but what's there to say other than the fact that
Well, let's talk about Peyton Manning.
he's got a hard game here.
He does, but talk about who Peyton Manning
let's
is.
talk about Peyton.
Peyton Manning has the same head. He can still see the field like he always can, but he does
his
not.
head's gotten bigger.
his
A five
forehead's
head.
gotten bigger. But my point is his arm and his legs are a shadow of what they once were. And so if you look at what how Peyton Manning plays now in his passing game, he's completely reliant on the short pass, the short strike game. Completely. He's not going to take strikes down.
Crossing routes.
He's not going to do long, skinny posts. He's not going to do a lot of fly patterns. That's just not what he can physically do anymore. And so their offense is very limited, which plays into the hands of a team like the Carolina Panthers. So I just think it's a limited Peyton Manning. It's not a horrible Peyton Manning because he still has his head, but just the physical limitations of a 39-year-old will keep him from being what he once was at his prime.
Yeah. I said it last week or last time we recorded that you could tell in his game versus New England that towards the end he was physically in pain and he didn't want to go back out after.
What I believe he said, which I totally disagreed with, you said he was the worst quarterback in the playoffs. That I thought was stupid.
That was his first week, yeah.
That I thought was...
I stand by that for that week. He was terrible.
Okay, you can take Brian Hoyer and I'll take Peyton Manning. How about that?
Okay, I'll take Brian Hoyer's game versus Peyton Manning's game that week.
Because Peyton doesn't make a lot of mistakes still. He's not going to throw a ton of interceptions. He's going to effectively run the offense.
But you know what he reminds me of? Remember when we had Mark Brunell his last year, and he couldn't get the ball past the first down marker for most
But he completed about 25 passes in a row, too. Remember? They were all
and they were all
5-yard outs.
They were all 3-yard passes. It's a lot of that.
It is. It's a lot of that. Peyton has a tough road to hoe. There's just no other way to say it.
Yeah, he does. And we all know this is the end.
You think it's the end, even if he loses?
Who's going to take him up?
There would be 15 teams that would line up to take Peyton Manning. Trust me. For a year or two, yes, they would.
I don't know about 15.
If nothing else, maybe not 15.
Texans would.
If nothing else, it would be the marketing ploy of all time. They would do it just to sell tickets. Bring a star in, sell some jerseys.
So maybe the LA Rams looking for a little boost.
Yeah.
If he wants to play, though,
they could use a quarterback.
I think Peyton Manning has a lot of pride, and he knows it's over. He's kind of in the same situation as Kobe Bryant is. If you listen to Kobe talk, Kobe knows he's a shadow of himself physically, and he's kind of embraced it this year, but it took him, a month or two to accept it. And now that he's accepted it, he announced his retirement. He's having fun. It's just kind of over, and everybody knows it. And so he's going to go out with the cheering crowds. I think Peyton has not quite got to that point yet. He, in the back of his head, he knows it's over, but he hasn't really accepted it yet.
Is it weird how rarely we see that in football, by the way? I feel like baseball, basketball, you see stars do this victory lap year quite often.
Not really in baseball, actually. Baseball doesn't, they'll go play in Japan. You'll see these guys will start getting non-guaranteed contracts. The Derek Jeters of the world are few and far between in baseball. Those guys try to hang on
Cal,
longer.
we all knew his last year, didn't we? Didn't he announce it?
Who?
Cal Ripken, and I feel like some of those legendary players did.
he's a Hall of Famer. Even the Hall of Famers though. Look at like Moyer, the pitcher from the Phillies. He pitched like he was 46 years old. Out there throwing junk.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it's. I think it's all sports, but a sport like baseball where they can really play a long time, a lot longer than football. You'll see those guys hang on forever.
Yeah.
Football, you just can't do it.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
You just, Chris Samuels. I'm sure Chris Samuels would have loved to play another 2 or 3 more seasons, but he was going to be paralyzed if he kept playing. He just had to stop.
Yeah,
he just had to stop. Because the Redskins would have taken him for another couple years, for sure.
Of course. Then you would have had Chris Samuels at left and Trent Williams at right.
Think about that.
God, that would have been nice.
But he just couldn't do it, Whereas if Chris Samuels was a baseball player, he would have definitely been able to hang on, Not that a guy 6'6", 320 would play baseball, but I mean, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Jim Tomey.
Well, on the other side of this game, I mean, Thomas Davis is pretty old too. He's been with the Panthers for a long time.
Yeah, he has.
I mean, I think if they win this game, I think he might just ride off into the sunset too, like Jerome Bettis did for the Steelers and Ray Lewis for the Ravens.
The storybook ending that we all want for people.
Elway.
Although I'll cite Chris Carter again. I don't know why I cite Chris Carter so much. I love that guy. He this week talked about Elway's retirement year and said that Elway actually wanted to keep playing after that Super Bowl, and the Broncos told him no.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I cite.
They were so excited for the Brian Greasy era.
I cite Chris Carter for that. Okay. Whether or not he's right, that's what he said.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Well, how old was he? Like 36?
No, he was like 38, I think.
Yeah, I think I would side with Alex. I think he was that old. He was up there, but he wasn't like a shell of himself like Peyton is now, though.
No,
Elway was still kind of doing okay.
He was definitely not the same.
No,
but he couldn't run anymore, from what I remember.
No,
that was the same Super Bowl when it was the helicopter hit on him where he spun around in the air.
Well, that was the Terrell Owens, who was the running back.
Terrell Davis.
Yeah, Terrell Davis. That was his 2,000-yard season. It was Terrell Davis that was the engine of that team. We're getting off track, though. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. We're just talking about Super Bowls. Everyone likes talking about Super Bowls.
Oh, the one more Redskin thing real fast. I saw somebody, I guess it was ESPN, voted the 91 Redskin team as the greatest Super Bowl team ever. Did you guys see this?
It was CBS, I think.
Yeah, I saw it. It was CBS.
Amen to that. And
I don't disagree.
Yeah. Well, I mean, their reasoning was very sound. That compared to teams like the 72 Dolphins, they played a much harder schedule.
Yeah.
I still think, though, the best team to ever play, they just couldn't get it done in the Super Bowl was the 2000. The
Patriots.
The Patriots.
Yeah.
Was it 2012?
That was the David Tyree catch on his helmet
Randy
game. Yeah.
Yeah,
the
yeah.
19-1
Tyree.
Patriots.
Because that was the year they
I-
had Randy
I-
Moss, who could stretch the field. It was a
Yep.
younger Tom Brady who had a better arm strength. I mean, I'd love to see the 91 Redskins play that team and see what happens. You Madden nerds will
Yeah.
have to try it out.
Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing I like to throw out there,
I mean,
Redskin-wise, Rich Tandler has an article this week where he and Tarek Al-Bashir are going to debate the All-Redskins Super Bowl team. So, so we don't. I
That's a
don't
fun
think
one.
we're prepared to do that now, but maybe we can throw that out there for next episode. We'll come up with our version of the All-Redskins Super Bowl team. Although, straight off the
Or
top...
just an all
Why not?
Redskins team.
It's may just be the
we could do
the
that.
91.
I'm down for
may
that.
just be the 91 team in total, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. If we did an all Redskins team, would we even have to bother with the offensive line when we all just say the Hogs and move on?
Probably.
Well, you would kind of have to specify,
Yeah,
right?
I
'Cause,
guess.
I mean, it wasn't always the same
That's
group.
true. That's true.
You had Schlereth.
Well,
or
it'd be
Stink, as he
Jacoby and
gets
Grimm.
Yeah.
It'd
called
be
sometimes.
Jacoby, Grimm, and Bostic for sure. The question is the other
Right.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But why don't we save that for next episode? How about that? That'll be a tease.
Yeah.
Or maybe let's go 2 episodes out. Next week we'll be talking about the post game of the Super Bowl. We'll have other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's jump into predictions.
Okay, predictions. I'm going to go ahead and go right off the bat. I see this ending up not being I don't see them getting creamed, but I got to go with the Panthers here, 28 to something like 17.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll save the expert opinion.
Not a lot of drama there.
We'll save the expert opinion for last, since Robbie is the only one here, as of us, who has some legitimate football playing experience in this thing. For my part of it, I do think that Carolina will win the game. The key to Carolina in this game is for them to play a 4-quarter game. They've had many games this year where they've been way up in the first half and they kind of collapse. I think it's worth noting that Carolina has not been there before. Denver has Super Bowl experience. The Super Bowl is a different game. The teams always come out tight. And some of these teams sometimes get kind of blown out in the beginning because they're just mentally, they can't turn it into just another game fast enough. And so I think Denver's edge, if I were Denver, I'd pray for the coin flip to go their way. I would take the ball first, and if they can get ahead and score immediately, and Carolina comes out a little bit tight, maybe it'll be a closer game. The game, like I said in the beginning of the show, I think the game hinges on whether Carolina's offensive line can handle Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware and those guys up front. If they can, Carolina's going to win. But look, it's kind of Carolina's time. I think they've been the best team in football all year. They're 17-1. I think they'll get it done, but I think it'll be a good close game. I don't think Broncos are going to get blown out here. So I think you're probably looking at a similar score to the Seattle game. So I'm going to say something along the lines of 30-24. We'll put it inside a touchdown.
Real quick, I think the only way, I know I said Carolina's going to win. But the only way I think Denver can take this one, Peyton Manning has to pull a Doug Williams and have just a blowout, like the quarter of his life kind of way to start the game.
It's possible.
Then if that happens, yeah. And, he knows what's at stake. He knows he probably can't go all 4 quarters. But if he can do that early, they have a chance.
Yeah.
All right. I personally don't think it's going to be a close game. I think Carolina's going to jump on top of them really quick, and then Peyton's just going to be trying to play catch up, and he's going to look bad. I think he's going to struggle big time against the Panthers defense. I think Luke Kuechly is going to be the one that should be Super Bowl MVP, but it's going to go to Cam. I think Kuechly's going to just have this insane game, kind of like a James Harrison type performance for the Steelers. Just out all over the place. Really going to be a struggle for Peyton and the Broncos. It's going to be a little bit of a battle near the end, but I think it's going to be a bit of a blowout. I'm going to say 31-14 Panthers.
31-14.
Hey, how do you think Carolina's offensive line is going to match up with the Denver linebackers?
Toe-to-toe, not very well. their guard Trey Turner is pretty good. I mean, he'll handle himself fine, but Khalil's a good center too. But the rest of the guys, Michael Ower's, he's a gifted athlete. He's a good athlete as a tackle, but he's not the most skilled player at tackle. So toe to toe, they're not. It's not a good fit matchup for their offensive line. But I'm sure Ron Rivera and his coaching staff has something up their sleeve to account for that. Get Cam Newton moving out of the pocket and just trying to make plays with his legs and not just standing in the pocket the whole time. I think they got this in the bag.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it definitely feels that way, doesn't it? All right, well, I think that does it for the Super Bowl. I have one more little thing. We have 10 minutes left, so I'm going to just bring this up. Funny photos that the Redskins PR department posted. Kirk Cousins went to London, apparently, with his girlfriend or wife or whatever. I guess
it's
they're married, right?
wife. Yeah,
So
it's a wife.
Yeah. He did not go with his girlfriend. Let me make that
He
clear.
might have gone with
not
his girlfriend.
his wife.
It might have been a girlfriend. I don't know.
His side chick.
Well, she was probably his girlfriend once. But anyway, the thing that was funny to me, he was wearing a Redskins jersey around London that had the number 16 on it. So at first I was like, why is he wearing Colt McCoy's jersey as he visits another country? What is wrong with him? Then I noticed in another shot, the back of it said Wembley, where the game's going to be. So if you think Kirk Cousins somehow is not going to be on this team, he's wearing a jersey that says Wembley in 16 around London right now. So I think that's a pretty good tell.
I'm not sure how accurate this was, but there was a tweet that came out, I want to say from Adam Schefter, that said that he's looking for a contract, or him and his agent are looking for a contract in the same style as Cam Newton's.
That's ridiculous. That's insane.
That's interesting.
If that,
And the Redskins are not offering that
look,
much.
okay, you guys haven't bargained big deals, okay?
They shouldn't.
This is a negotiating ploy. How it works, for those of you out there who are wondering how it works, you start high. The Redskins have their number, okay? They know what they're willing to do. And Kirk Cousins and his agent have their number also. And so what you do is you start high. If you're Kirk Cousins, you start high, and so you can bargain down to your real number. And the Redskins will start low to bargain up. And so when you see, we want, I think nobody in the world would think that Kirk Cousins deserves a Cam Newton contract.
A Cam Newton contract.
If that's what they want,
No.
God bless them. Have fun at your new team, as far as I'm concerned, because it's crazy. That having been said, of course, Cam's contract isn't so team unfriendly, though. I mean, it's a huge number, but the dead money isn't outrageous after a couple of years on it, so it wouldn't be just awful. But I stand by what we put in that, what we put in our article. I think that's what you're looking at. 5 years, 80 to 90 million, structured so the Redskins can get out of it in a year. Keep the dead money down. And by the way, so I know some people were asking about, they think I'm crazy because I said that, and how is that structured? How you structure that, rookie contracts, the bonuses are prorated evenly throughout the length of the contract. That is not the case for veteran contracts because there's different types of bonuses that you can get. And so the bonuses can be stacked in ways that allow the cap hits to come. They can front load the cap hit. They can spread it out evenly. They can do all sorts of things. There's voidable years. There's all sorts of things. If you look at the Tannehill contract and you look at the Dalton contract, both of them are structured in the way that I'm talking about. So it is possible to give Kirk Cousins a big number and have it be team friendly in that they're going to get hammered in the first year, but if they structure the bonuses right, if Cousins goes back into bad Kirk, they can get rid of him.
Sure.
So
Well, you'd get hammered in that 1 year if you franchise tagged him too.
That's exactly right.
It'd basically be the
That's
same
exactly
thing.
right.
So, in other words, what you're basically proposing, if I'm simplifying it, is let's say his first year he's getting $20 million, then you go down to 18, then 16, and so on and so forth.
Well, it's really more
Is
how
that a
big
simplified way to look at it?
A little bit. It's really how big the dead money is, and the dead money is what has to do with how the bonus is structured. 'Cause what you want is you want the dead money to be lower than the cap hit. If the dead money is lower than the cap hit, they can cut him, and without a penalty.
Gotcha.
And so what happens in some of these contracts is that for the first year, the dead money will be like $40 million. Which means it just they can't cut him.
Right.
But if they structure it right, you get that down in a year, maybe 2 years, and then if Cousins doesn't pan out, they get rid of him and they move on. Like for example, and we don't want to dwell on this too much, but remember when the year that the final year McNabb was with us, he was with us for 1 year, wasn't he? Was it 2? 1 year.
Yeah, he was with us one season.
But remember, they signed him to a massive contract halfway through the season. Remember that?
Right.
They
extended him to 3 years, 35 or something like that.
They can move him despite that because the dead money. The whole key is how big is the dead money compared to the cap hit. That's what you look at, and that's what makes it a team-friendly contract. That and obviously the size of the cap hit. If you don't want a Kirk Cousins with a cap hit over $20 million, I mean it's way too big.
Ideally, no.
No. Right.
I still can't believe we did that. Brought in Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
Those really were dark times.
Yeah, they were.
The year after was even darker, man, when we started John Beck for half the season. So, there's that.
Mike Shanahan
can't get any worse.
Mike Shanahan staked his reputation on John Beck.
Yep.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we have an actual football knowledgeable GM that knows what he's doing, that drafted like the best draft class we've ever drafted in a long time.
The best since the 80s, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a bright future.
We have a general manager who actually understands you watch tape of games, you don't watch, what they do at the combine, and you don't just watch their highlights like somebody named Mike Shmanahan might have.
Or Vinny Serrato.
Yeah. Well, Vinny Serrato didn't believe in watching anything but NFL film and trading for guys. So,
He played Madden.
Vinny had time to do a radio
playing
show.
franchise mode.
Think about that. Vinny had time as a general manager, whatever his title was, of an NFL team. He had time to do a radio show. So I think that goes to show what his priorities
I actually
were.
wrote into his show a bunch of times and just wrote hate mail the whole time. Because he would do like, hey, let's go to the mailbag, and I would just write, fuck you, Vinny, fuck you, you are terrible. Please just stab yourself in your bug eyes and die.
And here's a letter from Alex Zeese. I'm not going to read this one. And here's another letter from Alex. Oh, okay.
This one is just the letter F 1,000 times.
I see it like, Sean Connery for Alex Trebek in Celebrity Jeopardy. Suck it, Trebek. Yeah. Suck it long and suck it hard.
Yeah, it was closer to that. He did read one that I kept clean enough. I don't remember what it was now, and I'm not going to bother to go look. So
please don't.
I forgot the rest of it, but your mother's a whore.
Anyway, that just all came out. You brought it all back by mentioning he had a show. Thanks, Steve.
Hey, I do what I can to keep the show moving.
I think, yeah, and I think that about does it for this show. We're right around the hour mark. So, guys, any last thoughts about the game? You guys eating anything special?
What are you guys doing for the Super Bowl?
Well, I'm going to
As
bar
we close.
mitzvah up in New Jersey, so I'm driving back Sunday morning. Hopefully, getting back before the game starts and I have time to get some good food.
I'm just excited I actually
other
get to
than that-
watch the game because I spent so many years traveling on Sundays with the military. At one point I missed about 8 Super Bowls in a row. It was awful.
Ugh,
so
that
yeah, so I do just watching the game is enough for me.
I'm going to be grilling out.
Nice.
We're going to have beers and really good food. We're going to get all the family together.
Can we
It's
come
gonna be
over?
fun.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what I want to make. I'm thinking I want to get some Carolina barbecue.
I was just wondering if Robbie was having a big
Oh,
party
yes,
and he's not
absolutely.
inviting his Hogsty brethren over.
Well, if you guys feel like making the trek,
Yeah.
by all
I'm
means.
not coming from New Jersey all the way to Southern Virginia. It's going to be a pain in the ass enough to get to D.C.
I'm not buying your gas money or your plane ticket.
Never mind.
And we don't have a company fund yet. So.
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're working on it.
Well, I think that about does it for the show. I guess tune in next week, and we will go over what happened in the exciting Super Bowl.
We do have
what everyone did instead of what
we will have a special guest though on the next episode.
Oh, that's right. We will have a special guest.
We will,
you want to announce
yes,
who the special guest is?
I think I'm reasonably confident that
Go
we'll make this happen. It is the return of our old friend Kelly, who started the podcast with us. Kelly has agreed to come on for an episode.
Yay.
Not as a full time, but
I've missed talking to Kelly.
Kelly had a lot to add, and I'm glad he's coming back for a show. So that will be our special guest.
And I know he's probably not coming back regularly or anything, but I'm happy to have him back for a show.
Absolutely. We love Kelly.
Anytime he wants to come on, I'm always happy to have him on.
So with that, I think stay tuned for that.
All right, and that about does it. Make sure you check us out on Twitter and Facebook. You know the URLs and stuff. I'm not going through all that. You people know better.
You've been here long enough.
You've been here long enough. It's been a full year now.
And if you're new, screw you. Find us online.
Yeah. No. If you're new, thank you. And we appreciate it. Contact us at Twitter at thehogsty.com, at thehogsty. On Facebook, I don't know. I've never logged into it. It's somewhere on Facebook.
It's Hail to the Hogs. But, I'm the only one who ever updates that, and all I do is post the show.
We're not very active on Facebook.
Yeah. We should get better at that. All right, but that's the show, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Later.
Bye.